Welcome to One on One with Jane. I'm your host, and today I have Marguerite Baca on my show. She's actually from LA and she's an actress. So I know you actually won an award. Could you please tell me more about what projects you were in?
Well, hi, Jane, and thank you for inviting me on your show.
You're welcome.
Uh, yes, well, I was born and raised in Los Angeles, and of course, that's the Hollywood scene there. The eccentric, creative artists, performers there, and so it was a very natural for me just be part of that. It was no big deal. In fact, going for auditions was kind of an extracurricular activity. Went to school and then college, and in the meantime, I'd pop in on auditions, and if I got cast in a role for a play, I particularly liked rock musicals because I liked singing rock and roll, particularly instead of the corny ass show tunes, which I was also in some of those. But I would kind of just weave in showbiz around my required stuff like work, like painting work. And plus, I grew up with a showbiz family. Everybody sang and danced and carried on, both sides of my family. My great grandmother played piano for the silent films, even. And my grandmother and grandfather were a dance team. I even stumbled upon a magazine article in Billboard back in the day when we had real magazines, and there was a review of my grandparents, their dancing, and it said they were hot, hot, hot.
Oh.
So, uh, yeah, very eccentric, great artist. Dad came from an agrarian farm scene, but he still sang, and everybody played instruments and sang. So it was just so natural to perform and pretend and play, and everybody got up and danced. In fact, my mom used to embarrass me when we go to a fair or something and a band would start playing, and my mom would be up there. She'd be up there dancing by herself, the first one, always.
Well, I just wanted to say to you that my dad was an Elvis impersonator in the 70s. He went to the Gong Show in Detroit. In Detroit, the Gong Show. I don't know if you ever heard of it or not, but this is years
I
ago.
remember the Gong Show.
Okay.
A foggy memory when I was a kid, but your dad was an Elvis impersonator?
Yeah, he went to the Gong Show once, and they wanted him to go again, but my mom said, "Open up a business, don't go back again." My mom wanted him to get out of the show business. Seems like you're calm, and for an actress, it's good because certain people are not calm when they're saying a calm line. They weren't calm. Yeah. So
Well,
I
I've got a secret about that. I'll let it out of the bag, though. But go ahead. You want to say something more about calm?
yeah. Could you say your secret now? Because I'm trying to figure out ways to calm myself down. I'm not a smoker.
I know any means possible to calm down, right? Uh, well, when I was a kid, I would look at grown-ups when they would be flying off the handle. And I had my grandmother, she would really fly off the handle. And I found out later that she was diagnosed with, well, actually, she was not diagnosed with this. I discovered that she had borderline personality disorder. And the only reason I knew that or found out is because a friend of mine, her father had the same kind of personality. They're very manipulative and fly off the handle a
Well,
lot.
maybe she's a good writer because sometimes people sometimes they're good writers or they're creative somehow. They threw their energy into something else, you know.
Yeah, she was very creative. She was part of the dance team with my grandfather. Um, However, I grew up watching the grown-ups, and particularly hers, like, wow, that seems crazy, that flying up the handle. I don't, what, it didn't make sense to me. But I grew up seeing her do that and how everybody would squirm. And I just knew that I really liked to feel calm, even as a child. And so I think I put a prayer out. I do remember I put a prayer out, like, there's something inside of me I can tap into. I just knew it. And how do I? And so I saw this ad for meditation and yoga. when I was a teenager, it was in the magazine Psychology Today.
Uh-huh.
And it stopped me in my tracks, this ad. Do you want peace? Do you want harmony? All this cliched stuff. And I thought, yeah, that's it for me. And so I ordered these lessons in the mail, and I developed a dedicated practice at age 13 to calmness. And so, meanwhile, I was doing these practices that got me deeper and more deeply connected. There's this love of calm, and also the arts, being creative spirits, free creative spirits. So this calm, I found teachers, too, other spiritual teachers. My family took us to musicals and just immersed in the arts and the meditation. That was something I initiated for myself. Nobody else in my family was into it. And so I started getting this deeper connection to my calmness. You have the calmness within you too, Jane. And you know, that is what one of the things that happens. That's a result. Like you were saying, you get ideas. So when you calm down, that's creative inspiration happens. People think, oh, let me just not even think. When you know, when you come into that calmness, that's when the inspiration comes. It's like if you're bitter and stressed and angry, the creative juices aren't going to flow. So it's coming to that calm, innocent place. So that's quite natural, Jane, for when you do come into that calm place. And apparently you're in some kind of space there, because you are really creative. I mentioned the Emmy Awards. So what happened? This was interesting because like I said, I was born and raised in LA. I was doing all of these film and some commercials and lots of musicals. And then I just started feeling like it's time to maybe move someplace a little more mellow because things change. So right before I moved to San Diego, I started getting hired by this, was it KOCE? I think it's now part of KCET now, as an actress to perform in these specials about finances. And the director hired me. The first time I went out, I played what did I play? The housewife who was like really upset because they need a new roof and they can't afford it. And how are we going to do this? And the roof is leaking and whatnot. And so they had another segment about insurance. And so this same director, there was just such a flow. He called me back. He says, hey, we want you for this other part. And so here's the cool thing, Jane. It's like when a director or somebody like that, when they call you back without an audition, that means you're on the A-list, right? That's what that A-list means. It's like, dang, girl, I was on that A-list for a minute. But I didn't really understand the business of show business. It was just part of my life. But in retrospect, I go, dang, I was on the A-list. That director, he liked working with me so much. Yeah, he just said, hey, got another part for you. Come in, it's yours. And then also, so what happened is this program is what won the LA Area Emmy Award. So I was just part of that program. I was an actress within that program. Growing up there, LA did not feel fake. It felt like there were genuine artists. I mean, like, what's his name? Jim Morrison, for instance. He lived in one of their little cottages in the Venice Beach canals. And I got to live there for a little while. I lived in one of the cottages. But all those cottages eventually were torn down and made into mini mansions. So there was this element of like just earthy people, eccentric too. But then it became like people wanted to go there to be discovered. So there was a mentality of not just pure creativity. Like I could feel your creativity is organic. It comes out of who you are. And it's in your DNA, apparently, from like your dad. And so what happened as I was growing up there, the scene changed. So there was a mentality, and I could feel it, and it was very distinct. Say you go to a restaurant, and you'd ask the waitress for some ice in your water, or no ice, and they'd get angry, like, don't you know who I am? Like, they are thinking they're already a famous actress and they should not be being treated like a waitress. So bitter, they're like bitter because they're not instantly famous. So they're, instead of being the creative artist, they're going for this gold, like, ugh. And so I saw that mentality growing.